Virgo, welcome to the channel. It's Romy here. Thanks for tuning in. This is your March 24 soul story. So if you've got a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then you might find that these messages will help you to navigate through the next few weeks. So we're opening up this month with the energy of the Knight of Pentacles. And in March, a cycle is set to be broken. As a new chapter begins, this time you will do it, although it does require from you a new level of consistency and to a degree a certain amount of discipline. But I think, there are those times in our life when we're just acutely aware that we're ready for something to change. And it's only really when we arrive at that deep knowing and that truth that we're able to sustain what it's going to take in order to make a situation move on, evolve something. And we understand that we grow based on the degree to which we can receive the truth. And this month you're sitting with it and you're allowing yourself to be changed because of it. So I really like the groundedness with which that Knight is showing up to kind of help you do what you need to do through the course of this month. Now, we're going to move into the first part of March and we will meet on the 9th, Mars squaring with Uranus, which is somewhat of a erratic, chaotic energy, which, if channeled correctly, can spur us into action, but it can also create a little bit of a tumultuous energy to navigate as well. And I feel around this time you're going to be conflicted over something, Virgo. But the journey to explore it, how it gets activated and the sort of build up to that is so important to explore because it's incredibly powerful for you. And even if there is not necessarily a clear cut answer in regards to that, and an understanding that you might have to kind of exist in the grey, if you like, for a little while until you take the time necessary to sort of work through and to process something. We've got the Hermit coming in here, so these earthy energies supporting you, and I think helping you to have a real heart-to-heart with yourself. And a big part of that is ensuring that you're not coming at situations wound to wound. Now remember, in Pisces energy, we're lighting up that 7th house for you of relationships. And so there is a sense through March that you want to be leveraging your network to support the goals, the ambitions, and the things that you're trying to achieve. The Hermit tells me there are times when you're trying to go it alone. That doesn't always work and it's not always necessary. So just pay attention to where you might be sort of moving into that kind of, no, I'm going to try and achieve this by myself, or I'm going to try and work through this by myself. It does seem to me that March wants you to kind of just open up and explore, like, who is in my network, who is in my, my field of resonance right now. And if you're evaluating, the type of relationships and connections that are around you and realizing there's a gap, or coming to a place where you're starting to understand more clearly who perhaps is draining you, who's demanding from you, but also who's driving or inspiring you. I think, there are big questions you're asking yourself about these important connections, and a sense of a lot of sliding doors situations going on. So you might find that, as a result of just being in the right place at the right time in March, you have an opportunity to kind of have something that you've been thinking about or has been on your mind for some time, actually have an opportunity to progress simply because of, one conversation that happens, or being introduced to the right person. And so, understanding that there's going to be a time that you'll have to act, and probably act quite quickly. And the way to sort of feel into that is it will come along in a sense of just feeling like it's exciting, or it's sort of, you're feeling like a sort of urgency. You're having a conversation and you kind of want to skip to the end to go to the part where you're like, okay, let's do this, or having that notion of what your intention is through that. Now, I also do feel that March to a certain extent will bring along a little bit of kind of, I would say, constructive pressure, shall we say. And, when you're starting to feel into that, there is a sense, and, we'll arrive at the new moon in Pisces on the 10th, right? coming in at 20 degrees. And there is a sense, High Priestess, like you do know, you know what you need to do, and you understand, like you're reading the room exceptionally well at that time, okay? So no one and nothing is sort of pulling the wool over your eyes. You're absolutely crystal clear with that High Priestess showing up. But I have a sense that what we need to do is somewhat simplify a situation so that you're not overcomplicating it. And you, from that experience, you know, that detoxification, if you like, you'll almost start to realize how much more energy you have to bring to what matters and what's important. Now, what I will say is both the Hermit and the High Priestess are showing a very powerful, independent, but somewhat isolated energy showing up here. So that might translate in a way that you may feel a little bit unsupported, or you may in fact feel like I need some time on my own, or I'm craving that. So there's, you know, something coming up around, and remember, we're going to be working with this whole me versus we. We're in the Aries Libra eclipses. This month we're going to have the full moon lunar eclipse coming in on the 25th, and so it's playing out, you know, in the terms of how you're evaluating the things in your life that, you know, you feel passionately about and you want to embark upon, you know, solo, because it really helps to nourish you in a specific way, but also perhaps where you want to open up to others, or maybe you're realizing much more where codependency and enmeshment is kind of led you down a specific pathway, and you're now reevaluating that. You know, our relationships are always reflecting back to us the growth and level of consciousness that we have achieved. You know, we just have to see the ways in which they are changing or remaining stuck, and there's so much that we can kind of ascertain from that knowing. So more earth coming in here. I mean, you know, this is really powerful by way of giving you in March the capacity to start to see things tangibly showing up. You know, Eight of Pentacles coming in along with the Knight. You know, there's something that you're absolutely prepared to put the work in over, whether that be a relationship, whether that be something going on in your work or taking care of yourself. Remember what I said, a cycle is broken as a new chapter begins. And so I love to see the determination, the focus, the intention, and the devotion, I think, that's coming through for Virgo in March, that says, you know, I will overcome this. I will, you know, I will do this. I will achieve this. And even if everything isn't landing specifically in the month of March, you're definitely starting to see huge rewards, I think, for showing up in that consistent way. And, you know, remember, like so many things in life are, you know, about the sort of 90% consistency. If we keep doing them, then we're going to start to see the benefits of that. And indeed, if we keep doing the things that we don't want or are less desirable, we're also going to see, you know, the output of that too. So the new moon in Pisces is telling you that, you know, you must trust in what you're feeling into. And I think there's something quite significant that seems to land for you by way of a little bit of inspiration or some ideas that you have. And as a result of that, you might also consider what you're wanting to invest in for yourself. There might be something pertaining to work unfolding or being presented to you. You might consider new training. You might consider just wanting to learn a new skill or hobby. That craft, that passion is also quite cathartic. It seems to sort of give you the time and space if you're working through something within yourself, or, you know, specifically about a key situation. It's almost in the work that you find solace, to be able to sort of allow that clear thinking to sort of surface. You know, remember, Virgo, communication passes through many gates. You know, there's what is meant, what is said, what is heard, and what is understood. And so if we really kind of take all of that into the equation, it can help us start to realize why there has so often been misunderstandings in situations, or, you know, we find it difficult to see why people don't see where we're coming from or what we're trying to express or what we're saying. King of Pentacles coming in here, more earth energy. Wow, look at this. Now, I will say that sometimes all of this earth can bring about somewhat of a rigidity, a reluctance or a slowness to kind of arrive at something. That might be helpful for you because you might not want to rush. But what you are going to come up against as we move into the Aries energy is this sort of urgency, and especially with it being 8th house for you, an intensity to want to act, to want to move, to want to begin. And so if we're kind of if we're holding back too much and we're trying to figure everything out, or tapping into that slightly perfectionist part of ourselves that says not yet, not yet, not yet, then we're likely to kind of feel that that friction, if you like, not only within us but also in situations starting to surface going on around us as well. The sun comes into the sign on the 19th in Aries, and of course we'll also enjoy Equinox, beautiful seasonal alignment. Check out my rituals around the Equinox soul journeys, you'll see that over on the website. For you, I think around that equinox, you're also in debate with yourself regarding stability and security in some form or another. And remember, this is an opportunity for us to rebalance something. And so a lot of what's being considered, reflected upon and worked towards for you, specifically in March, Virgo, is with this notion of like, how can this improve my security? How can this make me feel more secure about myself, secure in this relationship, however that sort of translates. The King of Pentacles is very keen to understand, how wisely are we going to be using our time, energy, our money, all of these things. And so there's a very sort of measured experience that you're kind of having around that time, whilst still feeling that kind of constructive pressure. But I think we need that because we definitely need to be moving. And you are moving, Knight of Pentacles. You might just be doing it on your terms. How that translates to what other people are feeling, then, that's another matter. I do think that you're going to discover more motivation, though, to get something moving in a way that you feel like kind of honors like where you are now. Sometimes it's difficult to sort of truly see the reflection in the things that we're showing up to invest in, and how they are reflective of the ways that we've changed or how much we've improved something, the work that we've done on ourselves. And I think you are going to do that. And if you give yourself permission, especially as we come, sort of through that equinox, because that's that rebalancing, okay, as you're reevaluating around the stability, security, then between that sort of timeline of equinox and moving into the full moon lunar eclipse, of course that arc of influence being weeks either side, so you might have already really come up against what that's here to work on with you. And remember, again, like, that's a soul story conversation that's playing out right through to 2025, so it's not necessarily that you get full resolution of that in the month of March. But 25th, the lunar eclipse comes in, moon of course revealing new information, okay, and Wheel of Fortune says something wholly unexpected, and that's usually the way with eclipses, right? And sometimes the surprise can be taking us off guard a little bit. That's what I have a sense of you just sort of being taken off your guard a little bit with events, situations that conspire around that time. That does not have to be negative. It could be a pleasant surprise, an opportunity that surfaces. And in some ways, High Priestess here is also telling me that you had an inkling, you had a knowing. Perhaps you weren't quite prepared for how it shows up or the exact way it's going to show up, and perhaps what that means for you. But I think it sort of gives you something deep to consider, okay, is what I'm sensing from that Wheel of Fortune. She's coming along and just saying, okay, this door has just been flung wildly open. What are you going to do, Virgo? So there's a sort of moment where we're stopping and pausing and kind of having to go, oh, okay, what now? And that might be triggering and sort of bringing up all sorts of things for you as well. Again, that could tie into what I sense about you feeling conflicted over something. But I certainly have this heart-to-heart energy, which could also translate into you sort of being able to have that with other people if that's necessary in regards to what's coming through. Of course, with it being a Libra eclipse, it's going to be about relationships. Now, be mindful that we've got the asteroid goddess Pallas Athena shifting retrograde in Sagittarius a few days after that on the 29th. And remember, she supports and helps us with our strategy in life, how we show up, how we achieve and attain things. And in retrograde Sagittarius, we kind of want to look before we leap. And there might be this requirement to rethink a bigger plan. And that might be as a direct result to what has surfaced as a result of that lunar eclipse energy. Again, being reminded that that will be something that tracks back to what surfaced for you sort of last October. There's a key theme you're revisiting, and more information is now coming to light. And there's a sense of, you know, I think acute awareness and understanding of a cycle that's waiting to be broken or changed, and a new chapter beginning. There's a test of stability absolutely going on in the month of March. You're showing me that you're kind of quite anchored and grounded to be able to deal with that. But at the same time, I think the flux that comes in with that Wheel of Fortune suggests that there's quite a powerful fated intervention coming through. So as much as you may feel also quite set and secure about how you're going to do something, how something's going to turn out, or what the expectations are, I would say be prepared for a lot of that to perhaps have to be revisited or considered in a new way, remembering what I'm saying about communication as well, and how much of what is meant, what is said, what is heard and understood can change and influence how things end up translating, and what that affects, that butterfly effect that kind of comes from that, okay? The last three cards we cover in my extended reading, Virgo. So if you're new to the channel, you can find the link for that in the comment and description box underneath. We talk for another 30 minutes or so. We're going to look at a personal question and a relationship card for you as well, as going deeper into this for the month ahead. So I hope you'll join me and just unearth some more information and insight to help you. Now I'm going to go ahead and just look at some clarifying cards to see the direction we're going to be taking that reading. So we've got the Star showing up, Two of Swords. All the decks I use always listed below. Page of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, beautiful. Seven of Cups, the Tower. We've got the energy of the Devil. Seven of Pentacles. Look at all this earth energy. It does bode really well if you're like trying to draw towards you a more abundant experience or see results or successes as well. Oh, interesting. Seven of Swords and the World. Okay. Right, let's go ahead and look at Life Soul Vision Oracle, which again, if you're new, is my own deck. So you can check out the sacred title, ways to work with me, all of the Sacred Soul support guided meditations that I create and to help you on your spiritual journey. You'll find those over on romywiser.com. Okay, so we've got Honesty at the Edge of Quiet. We have Spirit Wolf. Casting Out Constellations, we've got the Spirit Bear, Spirals of Love and Grief, and Sacred Soul Union. Okay, finally, let's look at an energy oracle for Virgo for the month of March. Let's have a look. What do we have? You have the Angel of Strength. Beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a beautiful month of March. Enjoy Equinox, that seasonal alignment. I hope you'll join me for the extended, and I will see you again in April. You take good care. Bye for now.